And we are back with our final conversation for this morning. Joining us, we have the representatives from the Caribbean Association of Customs Brokers. No stranger to the show, Delroy Fairweather, you were just here last week. The president of CACUB. Good morning.
Good morning.
And then, of course, we have Mr. Clive, who is the president of the CBFFAJ. It doesn't have the same ring to it, but good morning. And we have Forde, the president of the Barbados Customs Brokers Association. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you guys are here to give us a little bit of a synopsis of the conference that took place last week, Friday and Saturday. Give us a general overview.
I would put it in one word, success. It was successful.
Okay, thank you guys for stopping by. But of course, successful. Yes. Congratulations.
Despite all the challenges, we were able to pull it off. We had to make some serious adjustment to the schedule. Most persons who came in on Friday actually just came in, had just a few minutes to actually get themselves prepared, and from there we moved into the conference, which was the section that dealt with all the presidents. We did our reports and so forth. The topic was basically on trade facilitation. Myself gave just an overview. We have Clive here, Lewis, everyone chimed in and they did their part. On Saturday, that was when we had the opening ceremonies. That went pretty well. I have to say thanks to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with the Minister, Yaman Courtney, the CEO, Amalia Mai. We also had the Customs and Excise Department who gave, they did a speech likewise too. And of course, to everyone else who attended, we have the Chamber of Commerce and all the participants. So I am thinking that we covered some good grounds. Cardi also did a quick presentation for us and opened our eyes to some very important facts in terms of what they do research-wise, and how we could move excess products that we have here in Belize within the CARICOM region.
So, Clive, tell us how this conference is going to be beneficial for the Brokers Association in Jamaica.
Great, thanks for the question. As custom brokers, in discussions and interaction with our colleagues in the Caribbean, we find out that the challenges that we face as custom brokers are quite similar. So as Delroy said, this conference has really been a success. We had custom brokers from throughout the Caribbean, Suriname, Barbados, Antigua, Haiti. So it was really a great forum for us to meet and exchange ideas, and to really, we as custom brokers, we are very close to trade. We have years of experience and knowledge as to the know-how. One of the things which would really indicate to us as custom brokers that there's a recognition, even from the WCO, of the expertise and how we can actually help our nations, is that the current chair of the private sector consultative group at the WCO, he's actually a custom broker. He's Mr. Jaime King from Mexico. So it's an indication. So we actually had a good contingent here from Jamaica, and it's all about, while some of us may be at various stages in terms of the strength of our association, we do believe that coming together collectively can only augur well for the improvement of all of us as custom brokers. So we actually came here to share ideas and to learn for our colleagues from across the Caribbean, and I can certainly say it was a great success for us.
Perfect. And Mr. Lewis, tell us about how, now with this conference, how we plan to continue to strengthen our trade routes with Jamaica, with Barbados, sorry.
Barbados is pretty far to the east.
Yes.
As you realize. and Belize is pretty far to the US.
Yes.
So we both have difficulties with trading with each other, sure. Belize may find it easier to trade with Jamaica, which is closer. So hopefully they have that link going. And Barbados has its links on the other side of the world. As it relates to the custom brokers, though, our conference was a major part of education as well. Unfortunately, when you have to compact sessions because of the reprogramming, we weren't get as deep into some of the conversations as we would like. So we may have to redo some. We need to thank also the Street Off Granville Center in Barbados from the University of West Indies who participated. And they promised to come back and extend some more. We also are at the stage though where some territories have managed to, the custom brokers have managed to get some legislation to protect themselves and protect the profession. We have a history of the customs departments trying to boss around custom brokers. It's the only profession left where some agencies do not want you to get professional because it benefits them in that they get an automatic pass into the industry, which should not be so. And that is one topic that rose its ugly head, in that there are some territories where the custom brokers feel almost threatened if they're trying to relieve themselves of that and get themselves into a professional organization. And that's a pity. So going forward, I think CACUB needs to push stronger, be involved in every territory. Some don't need it as much. Some can share more with CACUB than CACUB can share with them. But we're hoping that we can get every territory in and lock down and custom brokers being a profession with its own regulations like any other profession and not being bossed around by customs officials.
We had a conversation about direct trading. Did that surface in the conference?
Yes, it did. We actually had a session from Kingston Wharves, and this was where we brought in the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry. They were actually invited to sit in to actually learn about that process. For me, myself, I understand how trade works. So it's as simple as getting the goods invoiced, get it into a container, and get it to wherever. Now, the whole point of that was to actually have them look at that process to see how beneficial it would have been. And this is where the discussion will go much further, because one of the takeaways from this conference is that I am in communication with the Chamber of Commerce, and I am saying to them that, look, we may need to do a site visit to Jamaica. It's not just to go on a visit, it's actually to go and see, because again, I keep on emphasizing that our first point of transit from Belize via ocean would be Jamaica, which the cost is not so exorbitant as coming back to this side. And from there, what would happen if we can get into that market, then these items can be redistributed as far as Barbados. We understand the challenges, we understand the effects of shipping, but there is relief, and this is where we as custom brokers, we have the knowledge, we have the experience, we have the wherewithal. We know, you can ask me any question insofar as importation, and within a split seconds I can respond to you, you know. But I know my brother here has some little difficulties that they're facing presently in Jamaica right now, and I would want to ask him if he doesn't mind, you know, he could just kind of outline it.
Certainly. Thanks for putting that out there, Delroy. Well, as Louis alluded to earlier, you know, working as custom brokers, we are regulated by customs, and from time to time we have these brief challenges with the customs department. Currently in Jamaica, there's an issue from big logistics player who are entering into custom brokerage. Even though in Jamaica you require a license to operate as a custom broker, these huge players are able to find way to offer services which the entities themselves are not supposed to be offering. And you know, oftentimes we will talk to the customs about these activities. And of course, the argument comes up that it is because of competition, and you know, the sector need to be more competitive. But we are custom brokers, and we all compete with each other. So we really don't have a fear of competition. What we have a problem with is unfair competition. And so we have a situation now in Jamaica where the customs are saying that they want to remove the custom brokers. And I'm talking about some 300 custom brokers with our clerks, which will amount to thousands of employees. So they want to remove those clerks from the inspection point of the cargo to replace our employees with the employees of 3 or 4 warehouses. And we have been saying to them that it is unfair. It is actually against the customs regulations in Jamaica. Our attorneys, they tried to implement this policy last year, October. Our attorneys wrote to them. They have not responded to our attorneys, but then there's another attempt to implement the policy again a year later.
Sounds like it's monopolized.
Exactly. Yes, certainly. And what we see is an attempt to make an oligopoly or a monopoly of the logistics industry in Jamaica, right? And you know, while they're saying that they're going to implement a pilot, we have said to them in no uncertain term that we, as custom brokers, will resist this, because we see it as unfair competition. And you know, we as custom brokers, we are used to really being resilient and being firm where needs be. And as an association and as CBFFAJ, we're going to hold our ground on this one.
And you know, you have a situation like that occurring in Jamaica. So how do these regional conferences help, or can they be beneficial in assisting with some of these problems? I imagine probably from the perspective of maybe standardizing certain things across the region, I guess might be one of the objectives, but perhaps you can shed a little bit more light on how the conferences like this can help.
Right, certainly. Yes, and it was certainly a help for us, because then we would have discussed the approach from our colleagues across the Caribbean, and certainly for them, they are still very much a part of the process of the custom broker presenting the cargo to custom for inspection. We haven't had any report of any jurisdiction which is doing otherwise, and we also have held discussions with our international colleagues at the International Federation of Custom Brokers, and they are helping us to look on the practice globally, because mind you, if it is that the customs want to release the cargo with non-intrusive methods, so if you want to scan the cargo and release, as happens with some cargo in Jamaica, we have no issue with that. That policy is in place, and you know, we have absolutely no issue. Where we have a very big issue is where you want to put thousands of our employees out of jobs, so that a few huge players will be playing this role to present the cargo. And I tell you, it's all about corporate greed, and it's all about these companies, you know, on a drive for supernormal profits. And we are not going to sit there and allow any player, no matter how big they may be, you know, with the help, of course, of our colleagues across the Caribbean, to really unseat us from our legal position.
And I guess my final question would be for Mr. Forde, in the sense that you say, oh, Belize is in a very unique state of having that bridge between Central America, North America, and the Caribbean. Barbados also has a unique geographical location where they're able to trade with, like, the Lesser Antilles, South America, and Africa. So can you talk to us about how that situation or that unique circumstance is able to help your colleague
There
at
are really
Jamaica?
no trading lanes directly between Africa and Barbados. There's an attempt now to trade again. We trade before, it was an attempt, but there was no real commerce between Africa and some through Portsmouth or through Europe, but there's really no direct connection. That's the Antilles, yes. South America, a bit. Maybe some boats passing through, but a lot of the boats come from Panama and they go through Colombia and into South America. So we've been trained in our own little hub there with the Lesser Antilles, and we've done that for a bit. One of the bigger issues are the airlines. The airlines are a big issue.
Yeah.
There's no real airlines left now that do the whole Caribbean, and the governments need to step up and do something about that. I mean, they make decisions, okay, they're selling the bottom line or the whatever, but then you're missing the bigger picture if you think that because you have to input $2 or $3 million a year into an airline, you're missing the bigger picture that a couple thousand people are coming to your country or moving around your country and trading and bringing lots more funds than that. So we need to get the airlines sorted out, which may be able to move a lot of the produce faster, because a lot of what Belize has is fresh produce.
Yes.
You have a lot of it.
Yes.
Including bush, you also have a lot of
Yes,
fresh.
we know.
And that needs to be traded quickly, needs to get to destinations fast. And cargo routes via air are necessary.
Yeah.
And we think that is vital if we want to improve the trade. within the
Cargo
Caribbean.
and people, because we want direct flights too.
But you see, just as last week, as I was alluding to the fact that what this conference has exposed is the difficulties, the many difficulties we are faced with.
Do you think it's because of our various population sizes, or is it just due to a large monopoly of fuel and nobody wants to?
Or just the history,
Or just,
really,
well, I
of
mean-
how people have been doing things.
Yeah, I think in the scope of the broader scope of things, we have Lewis here who sits on various trade facilitation board within the CACUB. He keeps on sending out surveys for us to complete, and I am imploring members of CACUB and even here in Belize to fill the information out, because when he take those information back, then that better informs. It's like we don't need to tell you the obvious, but seeing it in black and white, the situation that President Cook they're facing in Jamaica, that again will have to be tabled, because we had discussions about that, maybe not on camera, but while sitting and discussing, and there's a need for harmonization, because imagine here in Belize if that would be the case, that custom brokers and clerks are removed from that inspection point. That's a direct threat for border security, because you do not know what will be coming within those cargo, and then you have to hold someone accountable. And I know my friend here, Gavin, he's a trained attorney, and he would know basically, chain of custody and all that. So, it's not to say that we're trying to secure jobs, but we have to understand that this is an industry by itself. And if that would happen here in Belize, that would be devastating, because then we too have quite a significant amount of persons who are employed in this profession, and we cannot think or would even contemplate how that would affect us. But these are the things that the conference brought up. Like I said, some very good points were brought up. Again, we hear Barbados talking about the fresh produce. We do. So now we are going to tap into Forde from their representative here, who did her presentation, and it was very informative, extremely informative, because they actually can find where within the region requires certain commodities which we would have, and what this could do. All those persons who always have these excessive amount of crops, this is where the policymakers come in now, because we have the BAHA and the Ministry of Agriculture now. They will have to step up and say, okay, let's see how we could enhance this, and then they would come to us as the custom brokers and say, okay, do your part, and they'll do their part.
So what is the next phase now? Now we've had this conference, what is next for CACUB and its collaborators?
Okay, so what we did, we were supposed to have held an election for handing over. Antigua and Barbuda has expressed to us that they are willing to host the next biennial, which would be in 2024, I think. Yeah. We are planning on having a follow-up conference here next year, Of course, we will start working on all the logistics from now, because what we have learned right now that yes, whereas we were preparing, there were certain little issues. So next year we will be hosting next conference here, because we want to keep the momentum going. Like I said, Belize is planning on, and it's just in thought so far, sometime in November we are hoping to go to Jamaica to look at the facilities there, meet with the custom brokers. We will be having monthly meetings every Thursday of the month, the first Thursday of every month. And then we're going to start putting all the takeaways from this conference and action items, basically, and we need to get them resolved. So when we have our first meeting, we have a list of items that we need to ensure that are completed. The following month, these need to be addressed likewise. So CACUB will start playing that active role where we will have to, similar to how Belize would send a protest note to wherever, you know, when we're faced with a certain situation, that is what we'll be doing.
Advisory point: no conferences during hurricane season. But I applaud your efforts and your success. I wish you the best of luck. Is there any final thoughts for our viewers this morning from Jamaica and from Barbados?
Yes. Just to add that the monthly meetings is gonna be online.
Yes,
right. Because as much as we enjoy Belize, right. So thanks to Zoom and the other virtual platform, we'll be having those monthly meetings, and we certainly think that they should build to the synergy of CACUB. The conference, as I said, we were delayed due to COVID, and you know, it was such a pleasure to be here to really see our colleagues face to face again. Right. So we're certainly looking towards those monthly meetings. The discussions will continue, and it can only speak well to the development of trade within the region. As I said, as custom brokers, we have so much experience, and you know, with all of us being there, exchanging ideas, getting the policymakers in our local jurisdiction to come on board, it can only speak well for the improvement of trade within CARICOM and between all our nations.
Forde?
Belize is a beautiful place with beautiful people. And somehow the food and the atmosphere will have energized the custom brokers who are here to want to do it again. So we want to thank you for that, and we want to praise Belize for having this conference first for a long time.
Well, we'll send you some bush.
And one last thing, yeah, just to wrap up, we'll definitely, one of the next takeaway from the conference is that Belize will now seek membership with the IFCBA, which is the International Federation of Custom Brokers. Training. You know, we need to be trained more. We need to be aware of what's happening outside of the region, because we tend to operate within this little bubble. And I want to thank President Cook for giving us that invitation to that first training that we did 2 Saturdays ago. We sat down for 6 hours, and trust me, it was worth it. We didn't
6 hours?
Yep. We didn't even realize that at the time. Yeah, and that's how interesting this field of work is, because when you get into it, you just do not want to stop. You know. Well,
gentlemen, I would like to continue the rest of this conversation, especially with the fresh produce to Barbados, because I have agriculture questions. But we have to go. Thank you all so much.
Thanks to you too for having us.
Safe travels back home to you, gentlemen. And with that, we're going to wrap up our show for this morning. But before we do, we have a birthday shout out for our very friend. Actually, you know what, Jan, thanks for the notification on time. We want to say a very, very special happy birthday to Jason Badillo. And that is coming from your friends at Bowen. John has sent his request for you, and of course from your family. So have a lovely, happy birthday, Jason. Wishing you a wonderful day from us here at Open Your Eyes. And if you have a birthday shout out or just questions and comments, you can always drop us a line right here, OYE
at channel5belize.com.
Or
you can find us on our social media, or Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, and on Instagram at OYE Belize.
All right, now you tune in tomorrow when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Be sure to keep your eyes, your mind,
And your heart open.
have a safe day. Goodbye, Belize.